You guys can see this is a coordinate plane. Raise your hand if you guys have seen a coordinate plane before. Okay, this is something you should have seen in fifth grade. I apologize. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this coordinate plane in case you forgot. Okay, so what I want you to do right now with your first colored pencil is I want you to lightly color in the x-axis. Okay, the x-axis is a horizontal line, and sometimes sixth graders get confused about what horizontal means. So we're going to draw it in. A horizontal line is the line that goes from left to right. And so in your math journal, I want you guys to shade in the horizontal line, which is your x-axis. Okay. Then we are going to lightly color in our y-axis. Our y-axis, it is the vertical number line, and that's the line that goes up and down. So in your math journal on your coordinate plane, I want you guys to shade in your y-axis in a different color. This way, when you guys look at it, you can tell the difference, which one is x and which one is y. And then there's one more word I want to talk to you about, and it is the origin. The origin is where the x-axis and the y-axis meet. It's at 0, 0. Whenever we're working with a coordinate plane, we always start from the origin. Okay, we always start at point 0, 0. So I know that, thank you for being with me, friends. I know that sometimes sixth graders get a little bit confused. They know that one's an x-axis and one's a y-axis. I apologize. Sixth graders know one's x and one's y, but sometimes we get confused as to which one it is. So I'm going to tell you a story about how I remember which one is the y-axis and which one is the x-axis, okay? Once upon a time, when Mrs. Fox started teaching, I taught with two really tall teachers. I taught with Ms. Mount. Raise your hand if you remember Ms. Mount. Okay, a little bit. And then I taught with Mrs. Hafen. Raise your hand if you remember Mrs. Hafen. Okay. She was here last year. So when I taught with Ms. Mount and Mrs. Hafen, it was always really fun because when the three of us would stand next to each other, here was Mrs. Fox, here was Mrs. Hafen, here was Ms. Mount, right? Ms. Mount was like she was a foot taller than I was, okay? So the way that I remember it is the y-axis. I would look at Ms. Mount and Mrs. Hafen and I would say, why are you so tall? Because that's coming from short Mrs. Fox, okay? So I would say, why are you so tall? So on the x-axis and the y-axis, I know that the tall one, the vertical one, is y, because I'm asking the question, why are you so tall? It's not going left and right, because otherwise you'd be asking why are you chubby? Okay, but we're not after chubbiness, we're after why are you so tall? Okay, how are we going to remember the y-axis?
Why are you so tall?
Yeah, why are you so tall? So everyone look at the y-axis and ask it the question.
Why are you so tall?
Good. Why are you so tall, y-axis? Okay, so that's one way that I remember the difference between the x and y-axis, because you will need to know those. So that's a little bit about the coordinate plane. So now I want to talk to you about ordered pairs. Okay, so an ordered pair is a set of numbers that can be used to locate a point on the coordinate plane, which doesn't really hold a whole lot of meaning right now. So I have an example of a coordinate, or I apologize, I have an example of an ordered pair right here. It's 3 and 2. So in your math journal, I need you guys to draw an arrow to the 3 and 2, and you need to write ordered pair. Okay, in this case, this ordered pair, they're both positive. They're both positive. And depending on the ordered pair, some of them are positive, some of them are negative. So they're always written as X and Y. And before we talk about the directions, I want to give you guys a little hint in your math journals, okay? So in the corner, don't write in the middle of it, in the corner, if you have two ordered pairs that are positive, go ahead and write this down with me, please. If you have two ordered pairs that are positive, they're going to go on the top right side. Leo, I know you're writing in your math journal right now. Okay. If you have an ordered pair on the top left-hand side, your ordered pairs, your first one is going to be negative, then your second one will be positive. If you have an ordered pair and both of them are negative, then it's going to be in the bottom left-hand side. And then if you have an ordered pair where the first one is positive and then the second one is negative, then it's going to be at the bottom right side. Okay? So this is something good to reference as you guys are working on your assignment. Is it a positive and positive? Is it a positive negative? That way you guys will be able to tell where it would belong. Okay? And then finally, something I want you guys to know about ordered pairs is you always move left and right, up and down. So the left and right, it's the first one, and then the up and down, it's the second one. Okay. So in your math journal, I want you guys to make a nice big X and then a nice big Y. And we are going to give us some steps. All right. So we know that step 1, you always go ahead and write this down with me. So you always move left and right first. And then you'll move up and down next. So underneath our left and right, I want to tell you whether it's positive or negative, and same with the up and down. Okay, so on our x-axis, so our horizontal number line, if I were to move left, is that a positive move or a negative move? Touch your nose if you see which one it is. Positive or negative move when I move to the left. Is that positive or negative, friends?
Negative.
Negative. So in my math journal, I'm actually going to write a negative sign underneath left. So then if I move right, touch your nose if you know, is it a positive or negative move? Tell me, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Good. Thank you. 20 class points for participation. Thank you. So when I move to the left, it's a negative move. When I move to the right, it's a positive. So now what about when I move up? Touch your nose if you know, is it a positive or negative move when I move up? Tell me, positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So I'm going to write a positive sign underneath up. And then when I move down, is that a positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, yes. Okay, so you can buy a pencil from me. Okay. Pencils are $200. Okay, so I know that I am always going to move left to right first, and then I'm going to move up and down next. And I also know that left is negative, right is positive, up is positive, down is negative. Your math journal needs to match my math journal. You need to be able to look at this, okay? When I was talking with my students before, I was told that in 5th grade, you were told that you kind of walk in a building, okay? You walk in a building at 0, 0. Then you need to walk over, and X, that's the ground floor. You need to walk over to wherever you are going. So you would move left, right, pick a pencil. Thank you. Okay, so you're going to walk over to wherever you need to go, and then you can move up and down. Does that make sense? Then you would take the elevator to up and down. So you're going to walk on the ground floor first, then move up and down. So I have a point where we'll start nice and easy with 5th grade stuff. I have a point, I have point A, right? I have point A, and point A is located at 2 and negative 1. So first, am I going to move left or right?
Right.
Look at it, which one?
Right.
Right, I'm going to move right. And then, am I going to move up or down?
Down.
Down, good. This is a review from 5th grade, right? So I know that I'm going to move right and then down. So in my, on my coordinate plane, I'm going to move to the right 2 places. And I know that this graph is not perfect. I had students in Mrs. Hewitt's class who told me many, many times. So we're counting lines. for this graph, okay? See how the 1 is to the side of the line instead of right on the line, so we're actually going to count lines. So I'm going to move to the right 2 places, then I'm going to move down 1 place where I will put my dot, and this is point A. Go ahead and graph that. Thumbs up if you knew how to do that. You knew how to graph it. You learned it in 5th grade, right? Okay, so this is 5th grade stuff. So I am now going to welcome you to 6th grade math. Are you ready? So I have a second point. I have point B. Point B is at negative 3.5 and 0. Okay. So if I'm going to look at these again, and I know that it's negative, since it's negative, am I going to move to the left or to the right?
Left.
Left. So I'm going to move to the left. And then I have 0. Well, with 0, do I move up or down, or do I stay on the line? I'm going to stay on the line. Okay? So now it's time for me to graph it. This is the difference between 5th grade and 6th grade math, friends. So I'm going to move to the left 3.5 places. And remember, I'm counting lines. I need everybody looking up here. You'll get your chance to graph it in a minute. Everyone's looking up here. So I'm going to move back. I'm going to move to the left 3.5 places. There's 1, 2, 3. And then here's 4. Do I put it on 3?
No.
Do I put it on 4?
No.
I'm going to put it right in between them. Right in between 3 and 4. Right in between negative 3 and negative 4. That's where my dot is going to go, because I know that I stay on this line because I was because my y was at 0. So I know that I'm not moving up any, so I'm going to stay on my x-axis. And then I'm going to graph this as point B. Today, the only difference with what you guys have been doing is you are dealing with rational numbers. So you're going to have some halves in there. Okay, go ahead and have your math journal match my math journal. Okay, so now I'm going to give you one more point. And with your partner, I don't want you to graph it yet, but with your partner, I want you to tell me, is it left or right and up and down? You're going to tell me which one it is, okay? So I have a new point. It's 1 and 4 and 1/2. So with your partner, you have 15 seconds to decide what direction I'm moving, left and right, up and down. With your partner, talk about it right now.
Okay, so number 4,
Yo, talk about it with people in front of you.
so you go right. First one, right. So over 1 right. Up 4.5.
Why not? Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, and 1. What's the first direction I'm moving?
Right.
Right. What's the second direction I'm moving?
Up.
Good. So I'm going to move to the right, and then I'm going to move up. So in my graph, and you guys are welcome to graph it with me. Just make sure you are graphing it in the correct place. So I'm going to go to the right. How many places?
1.
Okay, I'm going to move over 1 time to the right, and then how many times am I going to move up?
4.5.
4.5. So I'm going to move up 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to go between 4 and 5 to 4.5. And that's point C. Okay. So part of your assignment today is you graphing rational ordered pairs. But then there's another part where they're going to give you the spot on the coordinate plane, and then you're going to tell us what the ordered pair is. So for D, what I want you guys to do first is you're going to give me the direction. Then we're going to say, is it positive or is it positive or negative? And then we're going to identify what the ordered pair is. Okay? Okay. So I have point D. Okay. So what is the direction that I move first? Tell your partner what 2 directions I'm going to move.
She's gonna move left.
I should hear people talking with their partners. What are my directions?